Hello everybody, my name is Tiffany. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you to all the new subscribers. I appreciate all of y'all. Thank you for dropping by, subscribing, and getting involved. But you got involved by subscribing, so thank you for that very much. Today, I know it's been a while. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera, but I'm here. And today, what I want to talk about is how to build relationships. More specifically, this has to do with everything about when you're working in the field of technology. So let's get started. So I've mentioned in other videos how important it is to go to meetups and networking events, and that's still very much true. But I want to stress to you that it's important to go, but to actually be involved as well. I know a lot of people that go to events and they kind of sit in the back and they're just like, all right, I'm done with this. I'm going to leave early. And that's not going to work. That's not going to help you to build a solid relationship with people. And that might turn into working relationships later. So what you want to do is participate in events. So I've got about 4 different tips here that's going to help you out, and I'm here to help you. So this is what I'm about. Let's go. So the first thing that you can do when you go to events, and by the way, these events can not only be meetups, they could be conferences, they could be different volunteer events that you're going to, they could be like part-time jobs that you have that have to do with the technology field. Just whatever these events are that you're attending on a daily basis, that's what this is addressing. All right, so the first thing is know who's going to the event. So you could start meaningful conversations with these people. So what that looks like is on Meetup, they list out who's going to be there. Some people have first and last names so that you go on LinkedIn and research these people and figure out who they are before you actually get into the room with those folks. So that's important. A lot of them sometimes have their pictures up there as well, so that's also that's also good as well, so that you can kind of match a face to a name or a face to a picture on LinkedIn so that you know who's who if they don't have their whole name out there. And then another thing, especially with conferences and stuff, companies will list that they're going to be at this conference, or they may list it on their website, the conference's website. And so if you see a particular company and you're like, hey, I've applied to this company before, or I would like to work with these companies, or I just want to ask them some questions, then you can get that research done before you get there, so you're a little bit more prepared when you are there. So use any kind of social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, I don't know, Snap in the chat, I don't know, whatever these kids are doing these days. Use the social media to your advantage. Number 2, maybe your connection is that you've applied to this company and you want to work for that company, or you just want to ask them more questions, etc. So with doing that, it kind of goes back to number 1, making sure that you've researched and that you understand what the people are involved in. But it's also important to ask them questions about the work that they are doing. So that's how that relationship kind of starts, when you say, hey, what are you working on? Or what is going on at your company, or maybe something interesting that's happening at their company. And a lot of people like talking about the company that they work for and things like that. So especially if they're excited about that. So that's a very good way to start kind of building up that knowledge and that relationship with somebody else. So the third thing is probably one of the most important ones, and it's getting involved in activities where you can network. And so what that looks like in a technology standpoint is saying, hey, not only do I want to go to meetups but in conferences, but there's also ways that you can get involved in the community that can help you as well as pay you. So one of those things that I did, if you're familiar with my background at all, is I was a teaching assistant at a coding boot camp. And so that was, of course, one of those things where you get paid to teach and that you're also helping network your skills as well. And I'll put a link below to the company that I was hired by. They have different locations all over the U.S. and as well as some outside of the U.S. as well. So I'll put that information below. So if you want to check that out and maybe get involved within your area, that might be a possibility. I will say that they really, if you're going to be a teaching assistant, they really would like you to have at least a year of experience. So if you're trying to get into a coding boot camp, then you probably won't want to be a teaching assistant for that coding boot camp. Just a thought before you start going over there. But yeah, so if you've been in the industry for like 6 months to a year, something like that, and you really just want to help out others and gain some knowledge and maybe a couple of extra dollars in your pocket, this might be a good idea for you. But the idea here is that you have a chance to not only network with the instructors, but you also get a chance to network with other teaching assistants, and that also provides you the opportunity to network with the people that are in the program. Because remember, the people that are doing the program are going to eventually become developers. And so what that means is later on in life, not right away, maybe after 6 months or so, if you stay connected with these people, whether it be through other social media outlets or maybe it's Slack, whatever it is, then you'll have the opportunity to be like, hey, check in with these people. Following up with anybody is very important. So if you do have a conversation, no matter where you're at, whether it is, at a coding boot camp or whether it is at some meetup event or a conference or whatever it is, activity it is, then it's important to follow up with people and be like, hey, I know you said that you were struggling with JavaScript or maybe that you were struggling with understanding this concept. How's that going with you? Did you get that figured out? And so it's important to listen while you're also talking to these people so that you can have something to follow up on. What I like to do is listen to see if there's any pain points that someone I'm talking to is having or struggling with. And if I can help in some sort of way, I'll send you resources that I know about. Or if I feel that I can be an asset to you, then I'll lend myself to you and be like, hey, I know that you said that you were having trouble with this. I know a little bit about it. I wouldn't mind helping you out in this area. So it's important to just be like, okay, let me listen to what's happening with you. So hopefully I could be an asset to you as well. So that's the big thing with that, is just finding other events outside of what's normal, and getting involved with those events. Anything that involves being involved with other developers is something that that you should probably want to get involved with, especially if it's early in your career. And even if it's like in the middle or the end of your career, well, hopefully it's not the end of your career, but if it's later on in your career, then I feel like these tips would also help as well, because you constantly want to be around people that are going to that you could benefit from and that you could help out from as well. One other thing is I used to help with kids with coding. And so what that meant is I volunteered. I did it as a job, but before I did it as a job, I volunteered at Bold Idea. It's located here in Dallas. I'll put their link below if you're interested in the area and want to have just some extra activity that you could do to kind of benefit the community. But what that meant was like helping the students, and they were building applications as well. Sometimes they were building mobile applications. Sometimes they were building web applications. Sometimes they were just on a website coding. So I don't know exactly what that looks like now. I haven't done that in a while, admittedly. But when I did do it, I was doing it for about a year. And it was very cool experience to have. So I'd say that if you want to get involved at a younger stage, maybe you don't have a ton of experience with coding and you kind of want to just start your way in, I'd say definitely check out Bold Idea and things that are like that within your area. So I'll drop their link below if you're interested in learning more about that. The final thing about that piece is that when you are in a more relaxed setting, like a volunteer event or something like that, it's easier to chit chat with people and it's easier to get to know people when you're not stressed. Like a meetup, I think, is like everybody's coming to network with people. So a lot of times people have an agenda when they get to a meetup. It's like, I'm here to find a job or I'm here to talk to such and such. Whereas if you have these other events like Maybe you're a teaching assistant in a coding boot camp, or maybe you're teaching kids how to code on the weekends. It's one of those things where you're around similar like-minded people, but we're digressing a little bit. We're stepping back from work a bit, and we're just trying to have personal conversations with people. And those personal conversations, like I said, can build into something greater later on. So you just never know. The fourth thing, this is the final thing. While you're at these events, oh my gosh, please be yourself. Please bring yourself to these events. Bring your personality to these events. Like, that's what people want to see. And so I think it's important to always present yourself. Don't try to be somebody else that you're not. And don't try to make it seem like you know more than you do know. Just be honest with people about your experience and where you're at on the scale and kind of what you're doing. Because that's what we want to see. We want to see your best self. We don't want to see somebody else's self. They got their thing. Get your thing. All right? So the importance of that is that you never know who's watching. You never know what relationship that you build that might turn into something else later on that is beneficial for your work or your career status. I hope this information was helpful for you all. Have a good day, night, evening, morning, whenever you're watching this. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in another video. Bye-bye.